welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And of course, we couldn't start off this video without some kind of technical difficulty because we're already at probably close to 100 degrees. Yes. Well, I hope that you guys are doing okay. I am hanging in there. We are here. We're still going to fight through this heat, and we're going to do what needs to be done because we've got stories, and more stories to talk about. And so I am glad that you are here. I hope you had a great weekend, by the way. I did. I needed to take a needed rest. So I did that and I feel a little bit refreshed. And so I'm happy about that. Holiday time frame, spending time with family and friends seemed to go good for some. And then I've heard some tragic stories around the country as well. So my heart goes out to those families and those who were affected by some of those things that took place that were not so great. But yeah, I am so glad and feel so happy just to be here with you guys and to talk about things that interest me and hope it interests you too. And I definitely want to get your opinions and your thoughts. There's quite a bit of stories I want to get to this week. So for sure, if you have not subscribed to this channel and you are here and you enjoy anything of recap reviews and worthy news, whether it be celeb, non-celeb, whatever there is to talk about, this is the place you want to be. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and be part of the family. I would absolutely love for you to do that. I'd absolutely love for you to be part of the family. And for those who've already been part of the family, and for my new subscribers, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate your viewing support. So we are getting into some stories here. Yes, we are. As you can see by the title here, we're getting into villains and a bit of a sad story too that just kind of popped up in my peer view in regards to a cast member from an old show that used to be out and pretty popular back in the day. And maybe for some of you, you might remember who this young lady is and remember the franchise show as well. So definitely want to kind of cover that and just at this point too, I would say maybe a bit of a trigger warning because it is of a conversation about her passing. So yeah, and then lastly we're talking about mansions, and I'm going to just let you hold on to that and so you could figure out, well, you probably seen it on the thumbnail already, right? But let's just think about who and what we're talking about, right? So let's get into it because we just got so much to cover. We've got so much to cover. So as you can see, first up on the deck is the Real Housewives, because we're not just talking about just a storyline in the Housewives franchise from one of the shows. We're actually going to be talking about a ranking system that was provided for those who were considered the 10 baddest villains on the show. So I would really like to know your thoughts and your opinions on that for sure. Do you think that this was a fair assessment? Do you think some more individuals could be added to the list? Do you think some should have been taken off of the list? Well, we'll just go through it. You tell me your thoughts as we're going along. Make sure you leave those in the comment section. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with that because, again, we are talking Housewives. And also, too, we want to make sure you want to have yourself subscribe because we're going to be covering a lot of stories this week on Housewives, stuff that's been in and out of the show, off and in front of the camera, but mostly off. So I definitely want to talk about that, get your thoughts. So just for FYI, make sure you get yourself subscribed here. Make sure you're giving a like to the video as well. You know, it helps the algorithm. It helps for my videos to get out there to more people so we can have more people added to the family. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, according to Collider.com, it is sharing that the 10 baddest villains on The Real Housewives and the ranking of them. Villains are at the core of every show out there, whether a comedy or a drama. The show always has someone playing a villain. This is the same case on reality TV, and one of the main reasons is that there is a show called House of Villains. Many people over the years on the Real Housewives franchise have stepped in and led the show as one of the main villains. Sometimes, though, the beauty of reality TV is that some of these cast members are not the main villains, but they show villain qualities. Such is the case with Joe Gorga, who has been on the show as part of a family of one of the cast members, but has created a lot of stir in New Jersey. Some of the most iconic moments in Housewives history have been created thanks to these villains who have made the shows what they are today. However, when it comes to being a villain online hate comes with it, and they have learned to embrace and make it part of them, like Lisa Rinna, you remember her? As she did at BravoCon. And do you remember that moment? From diamonds to peaches, housewives to non-housewife cast men. Let's us go ahead and get started with the list. So in 10th place, I'm going to have to ask that famous question. Remember? Yes. 10th place, we have Aviva Drescher from the Real Housewives of New York before the reboot. Let's get into it. When Aviva Drescher was introduced on the Real Housewives of New York, viewers met someone who was very scared of everything around her and needed her husband with her. This may have been seen as an issue, but Aviva went through a very traumatic experience during her childhood in which she lost her leg. Because of the situation, she became more hyper aware of everything around her. This may have been helpful, but what makes Aviva a villain is that she would use many of her health problems against the ladies. Countless times she couldn't tell the ladies she was sick and couldn't go to many activities they had planned together. So let me say that. She did tell the ladies that she was sick and couldn't go to many activities planned together. Not only was she victimizing her health problems, but she also became condescending towards Carol Radziwill. After being a good friend during her last season, saying that having a ghostwriter wasn't everyone. Even though she wasn't everyone's cup of tea, she created an iconic moment by removing her prosthetic leg and pushing it onto the table for all the ladies to see. After that moment, Aviva became an iconic villain because of her different personality and her no-filter persona. And if you are like me, I've watched all of the Housewife franchises for quite some time. It took me a little while, though, to get into New York. Oddly enough, I just really wasn't feeling the original cast in totality. There was a couple of individuals that I liked, and there was a couple that I didn't care for, and so it was a little hard for me to really open up to the Housewives of New York. I think that what we have seen over the years with changing out some of those housewives, and now even the reboot, is kind of working better for that franchise, but I guess time will tell. But yeah, I do recall watching the show at the time that Aviva was on there. I do remember watching, I probably saw all the seasons that she was on there. And yeah, she was quite the character, I would admit. I do remember the scene where she pulled off her leg. I don't remember the context about it. I just remember that scene that was probably used as a meme for many other things because it was just so like, what are you doing kind of moment. So yeah, I wonder how she would do in Fair now in franchises. But I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think that she should be on this list? Let's move on to 9th place. One of the most popular ones, right? We are going to Giselle Bryant from none other than Real Housewives of Potomac. Word on the street is that Giselle Bryant is the biggest villain on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Do you agree? She may seem like a charming family woman, which she is, but the OG of Potomac has been involved in many of the most dramatic moments in the show, and she is at the heart of it all. She has used many instances during the show to manipulate how it will make people look, and she is always trying to stir the pot. Such is the case during the Real Housewives of the Ultimate Girls trip. Ladies essentially ruined ladies' trips because they couldn't let go of someone taking their tequila bottle. This may seem like a minor argument, but she carried it on throughout the journey. She was making a big deal out of that and stirring the pot with Heather Gay to push her into telling her everything about Jen Shah. Giselle has always been known to stir the pot, and word on the street is that if she doesn't do it right or it gets too much, viewers could move on from her. See, this is what happens when you kind of box yourself in a corner, right? You seem to be the only kind of one-trick pony, and now only individuals expect that of you. They only want that from you. They don't see any growth in that. So, you know, being a villain, I think, is one of those situations that if you don't play your cards right, you will always be and only be that. And we can then turn around and not find what is redeeming about you. So, yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on that. I would imagine most people would think that she would make this list. But do you think she's got redeeming qualities? Do you think that it's something that she can kind of stir away from, still have that edge of her persona, but, you know, kind of give you a little bit more besides just stirring the pot? I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. All right. So next up, see, now I hate when we start skipping people. Okay. Now, I don't know. Do I call her necessarily a villain? I think she does a good read. Um, and I think that was such a great asset to Real Housewives of Atlanta, and that's none other than Miss Kenya Moore. I think sometimes you could love to dislike her. I don't know if love to hate her is really fair. I think that that's a bit strong. She did a lot of revealing about her humble beginnings, and we know her as Miss USA as well, and she has a lot of credit to her professional arena as well. So Kenya's been one of those staples that a lot of us know, and like I said, either you love her or you don't. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now currently in the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and it seems like a lot of this, even though some spun off of the actual show itself, the taping, because we haven't even got to the season where this stuff is being revealed, but we're hearing a lot more on the outside. And now that we're also hearing so many different reports that are sharing, basically at the end of the day, she's no longer with the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise. And so I'm saddened by that. I don't know exactly how this is going to look for that season, if they should even continue on. I don't know. I would continue to support as long as I could stomach the storylines and watching. There has been some slow times, of course, but I think that when you start eradicating individuals from the show that actually brought all of that wonderfulness to the show, it's hard to try to get new friends, so to speak, right? It's hard to be able to just accept new people who you don't know much about, especially when you've seen a certain set of people there for so many years. So I don't know if all of what has been said necessarily has been true or not. We are going to get into a little bit, though, here on this channel. So definitely, again, make sure you keep your notification established and your bells on for all videos, because we are going to talk a little bit about that. I may even dedicate just a video time just for her and the situation surrounding that. So we'll just have to see how that all shapes up, because I do, like I said, have a lot of Real Housewives stories I would like to go over with you and talk to you about and chit chat about, and let's get on with it. So yeah, let's say the next they have on here is the 8th place is Miss Kenya Moore from Real Housewives of Atlanta. She is gone with the Win Fabulous and has made her mark on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kenya Moore has become one of the most iconic housewives because of how she came into her show and was not afraid of being the villain. When she came in, many alliances, or excuse me, I don't know why I said that wrong. When she came in, many alliances were already shifting within the group, and it was a perfect opportunity for her to stir the people into a pro at knowing how to push people's buttons. It is shown when she starts her feud with Marlo Hampton by crashing her event to promote her hair care line, which ironically is where ground zero is for the situation that appears to be going on now currently. And from then on, her feud with Marlo heightened, and she made the ladies aware that she would never get on her wrong side because she would be ready to take them down. And, we've always got a lot of great corpse from Kenya. One favorite line that I like, other than the Gone with the Fabulous, is, don't come for me unless I send for you. That's iconic. She's probably said a lot of other ones too, but that's the one that kind of resonates the most. But yeah, at the end of the day, I am interested to see what's going to happen with Kenya's future. I know at this point she's not on the show, but I don't know if I feel like she's never going to be on the show again. I don't know. It just sometimes some things feel a little bit unfinished. I think with Nene, and it's so unfortunate because I really liked Nene on the show, I feel like that's finished. But Kenya, I don't know if I feel like that's finished yet. So I guess we'll just have to see, right? Time will have to tell. So our next person is going to be interesting. And I'd have to say that considering what was given to us in front of the camera, I would have to agree with this next person on this list. And of course, we're talking about any individual in the Real Housewives show. So it doesn't just have to be an actual Real Housewife themselves. So feast your eyes on the next 7th place villain. Not that one. This one. Yes. You remember him? Garth Brooks. Not Garth Brooks. Lord have mercy. Not Garth Brooks. What is that man's name? Something Brooks. Or is Brooks his first name? Oh, look, he's not even memorable for me. Brooks Ayers. I remember his face. That's so funny. Not Garth Brooks. He's not in this. Brooke Ayers. And what we do know of him is that he was one of Vicki Gunvalson's from Real Housewives of Orange County's long-term boyfriends, who caused nothing but chaos and strife from his beginning time on the show. I don't think anyone really cared for him at all, to be honest with you. I don't even remember, because this is so many years ago now when he first started, because he did at least a good 3, 4, 5 seasons, I think. I don't recall there always being this kind of love fest surrounding him at this point. So yeah, he just kind of leaned into that, and we'll just go into it. If you remember, you remember. So as a non-housewife cast member, Brooke Ayers kept many of the ladies of the Real Housewives of Orange County on their toes. Back in season 7 of Real Housewives of Orange County, the OG of the OC, Vicki Gunvalson, introduced her boyfriend Brooks to the world, and no one was expecting what would come after meeting him. When she dated him, her friend at the time and cast member Tamara Judge expressed her dislike for him and how she didn't trust him. Vicki would not listen, so Tamara enlisted the help of Vicki's daughter, Brianna Culberson, who also stated she disapproved of Brooke for her mom. There was something about Brooks that made people not trust him, but Vicki was in love and she didn't care what anyone said. That didn't work out too well for her, if you recall. What made Brooks such a great villain, though, is that the season 10, Vicki announced that he had been diagnosed with cancer again. But all the information she was giving was not making any sense. And Megan King was one of the ones who asked the most questions when it came to his cancer diagnosis, because it hit close to him since her ex-husband, or next to her rather, because her ex-husband's ex had cancer, and they did show that on the show. And she was one of the people who was with her through her treatment. During the investigation that Megan went through about Brooks' illness, she uncovered how he was forging many medical documents to make it look natural. Not only was he forging medical records, but both Vicki and Brooks would keep Tamara in the loop about the papers, since they knew she wouldn't understand many of the medical terms. Now, if that isn't condescending, I don't know what is. Manipulative and nasty work, I don't know what is. Megan, or Heather Dubrow, in the end, it was revealed he was lying about having cancer. And he said that even Vicki knew he was lying. This made the OG of the OG, or the OG of the OC, an OG of the OG, right? Lose credibility with us and quite frankly, I don't know if she really truly recovered from that. It was quite a scandalous situation at the time, due to the fact that who was faking cancer here? Okay, people are afflicted by that in one form or other of that disease, and to use that as fodder or storyline, it was honestly, in my opinion, just outright disgusting. And it's one thing if you felt like maybe there was things that you had going on that you were dealing with, and you came into the conversation sharing that, we thought it could have been, but it never really seemed to come across that way, not in the beginning. Towards the end, when the jig was up, so to speak, then it appeared to be kind of like, trying to find a way to backtrack off of that story because it wasn't resonating well. I'm not surprised. You shouldn't be either. Right. And so at the end of the day, the whole thing was just disgusting. And I'm glad he's no longer on the show. I think it brought down the credibility of the show as well to some extent. And if it wasn't really for Megan and Heather really staying, and mostly Megan, to be honest with you, staying in tow with him, I think that if they had allowed this to continue, keep going on, it just would have gave more of a side eye to the franchise itself. At the end of the day, Brooks was a liar. He was a manipulator. And, I guess all things alleged, maybe we can only go off of what was shown. That's what was alleged that was happening. So we're just going to say that. But I am glad he's no longer on the show. I do think that it may have possibly inadvertently made things in a way to where Vicki wouldn't be on the show anymore either. Because I think at the end of the day, viewership around her, support around her probably did wane. And it affected the situation. Now, she didn't get cabooted right off after he left, but it was probably a couple more seasons or so. And you can kind of feel the distancing happening on the show, whether it's because new friends were coming in, new castmates were coming in, new storylines were being really focused on more so, because Vicki did always have a storyline that was focused on, whether it was about her job as a insurance company owner, whether it was her kids, her grandkids. She always had, great beef story provided in the show. So when that started to wean away from that, started coming away from that, to me, I felt like the writing was on the wall for Vicki. So I wasn't so surprised when it was time for her to go. But, again, I think we're saying all things alleged when it comes to Brooks. But if I'm not mistaken, I think he did somewhat admit to it. I'm not sure. All things alleged. We're just going to leave it at that. So let's move on, because here's another individual that I'm shocked was on here. Now, some may not, depending on whose side you are on one of the individuals that are very close to them. But both individuals, matter of fact, are close to this person. But you let me know your thoughts. So for 6th place, we are talking about, there you go, Joe Gorga. Oh, Joey. And I'm just surprised. I didn't expect him to be on here. I think he's quite the peacemaker, quite frankly. Let me know your thoughts down below. So we all know Joe is from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and he's been on the franchise for quite some time. So let's move on into this sharing of the reason why he was put on this list. As the brother of the primary cast member of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Joe Gorga has established himself as one of the show's main villains solely because he constantly opposes his sister, Teresa Giudice. Viewers met Joe in season 3 when his wife Melissa Gorga was introduced to the series. When he came on the show, viewers could tell he had many underlying issues with Teresa, and it would be at any moment when things could take a turn. Their relationship has been up and down for many years, and there is no speaking between all the parties. One of the main reasons is he is seen as a villain is how he can weaponize his feelings for Teresa and make himself look like the victim. With his act, he has made many people change their perspective on his sister and increase his allies. Now, again, in a situation like this, when you have a one against the other, it's going to be a matter of perspective. It's going to be a matter of what one person feels and what one person thinks. I lie in the camp where I think that there is wrong and right on both sides, and I wish they would just find a way to come together. The only issue is, and I've spoken about this in past videos, the only issue I feel is that these things were so deep rooted and seated, and they're long and they're old, and they were prior to the show, that I feel like unless there was some legitimate off-camera work being done, that I don't know if this would ever be something that will be put back together in a family form that is authentic and long-lasting. Because we do remember a few seasons before, on and off during times, they've tried to come back together and it just never really seemed to work. So we'll see, or last. So we'll see how that goes. Now, there was a point in which Joe and Teresa could get along because of their parents, but there was some apparent jealousy even when their parents were alive. One of the last stunts he pulled to show he victimized himself was him and Melissa not going to Teresa's wedding. Everyone was eager to know if they would show up since they were the only family she had left, but they decided 2 days before the wedding not to attend. This became the moment in which the world of Real Housewives of New Jersey, as viewers know it, would change. And if I'm not mistaken, there was some information or some stuff that came out that they felt that was said by Teresa, and that was the reason why they decided not to move forward with coming. Again, they definitely need to do some work outside of the franchise, I think, for this to ever see anything work out between them. I think it's sad because they all have children. The children are cousins, and we're just perpetuating this situation and this cycle, generation upon generation upon generation. And for what? So yeah, some point we got to learn our lessons, I guess. And that means both sides, right? Accountability can be taken on both sides. No one person is 100% right on this situation. Maybe you may see situations where that might be the case, but not here. All right, so moving on to the next villain, which I think that she definitely earned her spot on here. 5th place is Danielle Staub. Yes, Danielle. Let's get into it. Real Housewives of New Jersey, the only person besides Jackie Goldschneider to have gone head-to-head against Teresa Giudice? She probably is. And live to tell the story is Danielle Staub. I would also say Jacqueline as well. Although Jacqueline left, I don't think it was necessarily that she left because of her. She left probably for personal reasons. Let's continue. This OG of the Real Housewives of New Jersey showed her true self from the show's beginning and was unapologetic about her personality. It wouldn't have been a New Jersey episode if she and Teresa had not gone at each other's throats throughout their entire time together on the show. She made herself known and quickly became a fan favorite, but to the viewers' disappointment, she left before season 3. There was a void felt after she left, and she returned to a friend role of seasons 8 through 10, which created some of her best and most iconic moments as a villain. Not only did she come back as a friend, but to everyone's surprise, she came back as one of Teresa's friends. Their friendship did not make sense to many cast members, but their relationship grew after Teresa was in jail. Danielle's time during the later seasons was tested because she was going to head with going head to head with Margaret Josephs, who was one of the reasons why her engagement had fell apart. The two going at it throughout season 10 divided the cast. And we all remember famously the pulling of the hair in that one boutique that they were in, and who was behind that. And it turned out Teresa may have had a little bit of goading and place in that situation, which really, I think, set the tone for the continued visceral that we see between Teresa and Margaret to this day. So yeah, I think she's earned herself on this list, but you let me know down below. Now, sliding into fourth place, we have is one other than the infamous Miss Jen Shaw. Yeah. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is where she hails from, and we all know that very well, haven't we? Because most of her antics are mostly known off camera as much as they were on camera. Now, let's get into this one. The only thing I'm guilty of is being amazing. Viewers can agree that one thing in that statement is true. Jen Shaw established herself as a villain on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City because of 3 seasons. Everything revolved around her. What made Jen a villain is not only the fact that she got arrested for fraud, but also her no-filter persona and strong personality, which made many of the ladies in the cast scared of her, especially Heather Gay. Jen was explosive and a hot-headed personality. Like hers meant it would not be an easy journey to have a friendship with her. Throughout her time on the show, she manipulated Heather to be her ride or die, but it wasn't reciprocated, which made many viewers look at her with a side eye. Besides, not being a good friend to Heather, she created many rifts between her and the other cast members. During her time on the show, many of the friendships she had drifted away because of her arrest. Not only was she manipulative of Heather, but it was recently revealed she was the one who gave her the now infamous black eye. Are you surprised about that? If you watch Salt Lake, let me know if that's who you thought it was as well. I kind of felt it was too. Now, we still don't really know, I think, the circumstances surrounding it. Was it an accident? Did she say something slick and she just went off halt and, knocked her out? Or what exactly happened there? I still don't really have the details. If you've known any more details, seen any more that I may have missed, drop it down in the comment section. I would love to know, because I don't really know. But yes, she most certainly naturally belongs on this list. Now, going right on into third place would be another villain. Brandi Glanville. Yes, from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I think that Brandi's name has been so synonymous with the show so many years after her even being on the show. Like, I don't even remember the last season she was not physically on for a full-time gig. She just really was able to carry this 15 minutes of fame into like 3 hours of fame, right? But let's get into it. As one of the most unique diamonds to have been a part of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Brandi Glanville cemented herself as one of the show's main villains for years. She had many friendships during her time on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and many of which created iconic moments. But her quick remarks towards her other cast members made her the icon she is now. She was the youngest to come on the show during season 2, and she made waves when she stepped up from the get-go, getting into arguments with the OG of Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards, and her sister Kim Richards. She always kept all the ladies on their toes, and even after different cast shakeups, she managed to be a mean girl to Eileen Davidson, Lisa Rinna, and Lisa Vanderpump. Although I would say all 3 of those ladies were able to clearly hold their own. Moving on. Even after leaving the show and coming back, she stirred the pot by alleging that she had an affair with season 9 cast member Denise Richards. To be able to be gone from the show for so long, which is what I just said, and come back from creating such a big scandal is something that needs to be studied, most certainly. And to still be relevant in that is crazy. And, we've also heard of the recent potential filings of lawsuits and such against Bravo, the network. I think I saw a story not too long ago that she was going down that road again for reasons dealing with her health and all that good stuff. So all things, I guess, alleged as well. But yeah, so that saga is ongoing and continuing. And I'm sure we'll start to hear more about that as time goes on, one way or another. And now moving into second place, which I definitely believe this one belongs on here, is Miss Kelly Dodd. Yes, Kelly Dodd. Real Housewives of Orange County. Let's get into it, right? Because we already know. Kelly Dodd was a master of being a villain because she always spoke her mind and had a very colorful way of speaking. However, her no-filter manners were so bad that Heather Dubrow did not want to continue being a part of the Real Housewives of Orange County because of her. Yeah, because she had a bit of a mouth on her. She made for a great villain on the show because she constantly kept the whole cast on their toes. Even one of the loudest ones of the cast, Tamra Judge, was intimidated by her. For many years, Kelly made their lives a living hell. and she managed to get into a fight with every single one of the cast. Kelly was quickly become one of her most controversial cast members to have stepped on foot on the Housewives, and she created enemies that will last forever. She is a person who is not afraid to say what she is thinking, and she doesn't bother to think about what everyone else is thinking. She is an action person and knows how to push people's buttons. Some of her moments that viewers will never forget were her criticizing or critiquing Shannon Bedore on her weight gain, critiquing Emily Simpson's husband's height, calling out Shannon's ex-husband for cheating on her at a party and her recording herself with a pig face, and calling Vicky Gunvalson we'll just put in that word expletive because I'm sure it was nasty, pig, which I believe was a part of the start of why Vicky went and got herself, allegedly, maybe could have been the reason to go get that nose job. And that's some nasty business. And, honestly, Kelly Doll, she belongs on the list. She belongs on the list. I'm pretty sure she'd be happy that she is on the list. But yeah, nasty work, that woman. Nasty work. So let's get on into number one. The number one, arguably maybe, is Lisa Rinna. Yes, and we know full well all about Lisa Rinna. She was a buzz on and off the show for the last couple of seasons around about as well. And my goodness, will we see her return back to Real Housewives? I don't think so. I know there was a lot of speculation right at the moment of her leaving that she might come back, but I think that time is done too. But let's get into the reasons as if we need to know, because a lot of the stuff was very recent, right? But let's go into it anyways. These lips were made for talking, and boy, and that's just what they'll do. Lisa Rinna had much discussed during her time on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but her journey did not start off as a villain. Remember, she only became a villain as the seasons progressed and her popularity increased, which meant she became more calculated. The Lisa Rinna viewers loved was gone, and it was heartbreaking to see. When she started on the show, her most significant thing was to own it. She did it because she became the pot stirrer the show needed. After a lackluster season 4, Lisa joined the show and in a way saved and created what Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is now. Still, with great power comes great responsibility, and she started to stir things quickly in Beverly Hills. When she came on the show, she was friends with everybody, but after showing concern towards Kim Richards and calling her an alcoholic, their relationship became strained and created rifts in the show. Besides having Kim as an enemy, she tried to take down and unmask Ilana Hadid, attempted to take down Lisa Vanderpump, and accused Dory Kemsley of doing the candy in the bathroom, and constantly attacked her ex-friend Denise Richards. The alas was a turning point for her in the Beverly Hills, as viewers know it because she started to act very calculated, which can be seen during her one-on-one with Denise Richards and saying, "Oh, you're so angry." And I would further go to say that with Lisa, "Ooh, you're so nasty." Let's go. And this moment turned many viewers against her for her condescending tone. After her last season, when she created an enemy of another of Kyle's sisters, Lisa left the show. But this was without her embracing her new villain title. During her last BravoCon, Lisa was booed by the audience, who clearly said she did not like it, but she embraced it and even enjoyed it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that BravoCon, she wasn't actually even supposed to be on it. So I think it was like a last minute kind of invite deal or however that worked out. But I saw it. It was pretty devastating, I think, because even as a villain to be booed, I mean, there's plenty of villains on these Bravo shows. I don't think anyone's ever gotten booed. That wasn't a good thing. But, it may become a regular thing, I think, as time goes on, because people are feeling more inclined to share their thoughts and their feelings more now than ever, whether you should or not. So I don't think it'll be the last person that will be booed, because, hey, look, they got away with it the first time. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But what do you think about this list for the 10 baddest villains on Real Housewives? Do you agree with that? Do you think some should be added, some should be taken off? Some got a bad rap. Some should have squarely been number one, maybe more than even Lisa. And I can tell you, Lisa, I think she earned that spot. And like you said, she liked it. So, here we go. But definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next story that we have here. And like I said, we are shifting gears. This is going back down a little bit of memory lane for those who did watch both of these franchises, and this one in particular that I'm going to talk about. And it was just a little bit of a heartbreaking story, I have to say. If you were a fan of The Real World and the Road Rules, those were two very popular shows that were on MTV, I believe, for a good bit of time. Definitely Rules on MTV. And then VH1 got looped into it, and then it seemed to be MTV, VH1 back and forth. But Real World was such a really good coming of age type of show. You see some of our current celebrities from those shows back to those times so many years ago, but they have really did give a nice concept to the original, in my opinion, reality type based shows, because it was based off of reality. And they would have a bunch of individuals in one house for a good 6 to 8 weeks, whatever that time span was, just kind of looking to get along, right? There'd be people from all different kinds of walks of life, races, uh, you name it, just different types of individuals, right? And so it became quite the phenomenon. It lasted many, many, many years. I don't think there's any new Real World shows now. I don't recall the last one and when it aired, but it was sometime. I think they did a reunion show where it all started. And I believe the first one might have been out of New York. And even that was a few years ago. So, but just to say, it lasted a good probably 10 plus years regularly. And so for some of those who actually got into the Real World, franchise, you may recognize Sarah. And there was some heartbreaking news that came out, I think about a couple weeks ago, actually. So I wanted to share this last week, but time kind of ran away from us. But I did wanted to just bring, just to the thought front that we lost someone in the Real World spell of the arena there, and I think it was really sad. And if she was one of your favorites or you watched that particular franchise, you'll probably have been aware of it. So just to run through, the U.S. Sun and NEWSBREAK are the ones that actually shared the story. They shared that the Real World's Sarah Becker had passed away at 52 as an MTV star, remembered as a selfless person. And that's another reason why I wanted to bring this to attention, because, there are a lot of individuals who have been on these franchises who've done a lot of good things with their communities and beyond during their time on the stand of the show and even after and beyond. So to remember someone who may have brought you some joy in that time frame for you, I think is always nice to just, take a moment and reflect. So reality TV star Sarah Becker, who appeared on MTV's The Real World Miami, has passed away at the age of 52. A member of the Becker family confirmed the passing of the reality TV star. And although Sarah had been staying in her family's home in Illinois, she had planned to move back to the West Coast, according to TMZ. The TV star was reportedly dealing with mental health issues in the months leading up to her passing. However, the cause of her passing was not been yet publicly revealed, which probably it may come through sometime. I would probably say the near future, really. She was also caring for her mother and sister at the time. The Real World has been on air since 1992 and has had 33 seasons. Sarah first appeared on the 5th season of The Real World in Miami on MTV, where she worked at a comic book store in La Jolla, California. Sarah was 25 years old when she starred on the popular reality series in 1996. Fans are particularly fond of one episode in season 13 when Sarah brought home a puppy named Leroy. The reality show follows a group of people from different backgrounds who eventually find common ground. Sarah co-stars included Dan Renzi, Melissa Padron, Joe Batane, Cynthia Roberts, Flora Alikisine, Flora, I remember her, and Mike Lambert. Sarah's friends have taken to social media to remember how she had impacted their lives. Sarah Becker was made of pure sunshine, full of energy and positivity. You couldn't help but feel her warmth in standing in her presence, Daniel Norton had posted on his Facebook. I am grateful for our adventures and laughs. Big hugs to all the Wildstorm fans. He also added, I think Sarah was always one of those people that after you've met them, you have a fond memory or a funny story with them in it. Something you can always look back on and share with who you're with. That was her power. In addition to struggling with her mental health, Becker had reportedly been involved in a skateboarding accident. And another reality TV star also commented on Sarah's passing. I just found out that one of the nicest people that have ever been put in my life, especially during my impressionable ages in my life, has passed away, Joel Benjamin wrote on his Facebook. Every time I thought of her, I would always see her small and bubbly personality. You were loved and will be missed. Joel shared a couple of photos of him and Sarah together. So, it's just really a sad situation there. It's always sad when someone that is beloved, it passes. And my thoughts and prayers definitely go to her and her family, her friends, and those who were fans of hers who really appreciated what she was able to bring to their lives as well. And, may she rest in peace. And I know that that is such a sad story, and attached to the fact that she was caring for both her mother and her sister as well. So definitely send your prayers and thoughts out to them as well. You most certainly can pass on your condolences in the comment section below, and your thoughts about Sarah. If you've watched the Real World of Miami, if there's any funny, maybe quirks or stories, or things that happened during that time frame, if you can recall, you want to jot those down as a remembrance in the comment section, feel free to do so. So again, may she rest in peace, and and definitely many blessings and prayers to her family, and thoughts as well. So definitely wanted to share that spotlight out. So we are now moving on to our next story, which one that seems to constantly be in the news for one reason or another. I tell you what, if this was not a situation in a house that was always a problem, it's going to be these two. It is always going to be these two. I mean, you wonder, there seems to be so much love between these two, but boy, times have changed. Have they changed? So we know what we're talking about when we talk about houses and mansions. Matter of fact, I've done a couple of stories, maybe 2, 3, 4 of them, on Kim and Kroy Biermann, and some regarding their split, as well as the situations with their Georgia mansion, because it's been quite a character of its own. So here we go with another update to that situation. So let's go ahead and sit back and see what's going on now. Now, according to Reality T, Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann forced to cut Georgia mansion price again. Georgia mansion price again. My tongue just went way somewhere else. Anyways, next, Real Housewives of Atlanta alums Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann are going through a messy divorce, as we all famously know, right? In fact, it has to be one of the messiest splits in Bravo history. And their Georgia mansion has also a starring role in the drama. See, I told you, it's its own cast member. The Don't Be Tardy couple pushed back the foreclosure date, but now they need to find a buyer. So unfortunate. It really is. These are not the kind of things that you expect to have to deal with when you are making such big purchases with individuals, right? This is supposed to be the place they actually raise their family in and live happily ever after. And it just does not seem to be happening that way. So now Kim and Kroy slashed the price of their mansion again. These former lovebirds are still in dire financial straits. Kim even owes her divorce attorney some cash. Amid this dumpster fire, the former couple managed to save their mansion from foreclosure for now. Kroy and Kim asked Truist Bank to delay foreclosing on the property while they tried to find a buyer. If the mansion isn't sold by August 26, 2024, the bank will resume foreclosing. According to Realtor.com, the price of the home located in Milton, Georgia, has been lowered again. This is nothing new since the home has undergone several price reductions. In the fall, the property was listed for $6 million, and now the mansion's price has dropped to a whopping, by $300,000. So someone can buy the 7-bedroom property for $4.2 million, and that's a bit of a cut. The residence is 15,694 square feet right now. The price is only $268 per square foot, which seems like a steal. This represents 30% off the original asking price. So what will a buyer get for a $4.2 million? Well, the house is on a lake and features a living room with a huge fireplace, a study, and a formal dining room. And the kitchen has old and sub-zero appliances and a big island for when the buyer wants to get their chef on. The master bedroom has a sitting room, fireplace, and adjacent bathroom with a soaking tub and dual vanities. The upstairs offers a playroom and 4 bedrooms with an ensuite bathrooms. The property also has a wine cellar, a gym, arcade, movie theater, and a vanishing edge pool. Hurry up, potential buyers. The clock is ticking. The Real Housewives of Atlanta and Don't Be Tardy stars are both streaming on Peacock, or the shows are, and they probably are too. So yeah, unfortunate. This house situation, just like individuals in normal life go through things when it comes to buying, purchasing homes and unloading those, they're going through the same situation themselves. It's unfortunate because they have such a huge family and that things did not work out for them. Some people thought it was for a storyline. I guess time will only tell. Don't know if we're going to see Kim back in the thick of things on Bravo. know there has been some rumblings that she may do some appearances again on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I do remember at one point she was kind of done with the show and didn't appear to be that she wanted to come back to it. But that's when Don't Be Tardy really kind of took off for her. And that lasted maybe a little bit longer than some people would have liked, but it did last, and now it's no longer. And now she's probably looking for the next opportunity. Check out one of my videos that I had. It's probably, no, it's not on the under the live section, so it should be under the regular video section tab. Made in Manhattan is a potential new show, reality show, I believe, maybe coming on through Bravo. But check that video out for reference. That one of her daughters is actually looking to be a starring role in. So you may start to see her in little bits of that as well. They're actually supposed to be taking some time in Manhattan. And so we'll just see how that unfolds, if that show really does come to be. But yeah, it's just so sad, really, honestly. But feel free to leave your thoughts below. If you're interested in that home, well, you saw the information there. I'm pretty sure you can go on Zillow or Realtor.com or any number of places to get all of the deets according to the house. But I would really like to know your thoughts on, do you think that we're going to see more of Kim on the reality circuit again, the reality show circuit, that is? Is there a time for her to land back in? I mean, Nene, excuse me, I don't know why I always have such a hard time saying Nene's name. I always want to say something else, but I don't know. But anyways, and Nene, she apparently has got a new show coming out as well. And it did premiere last week on Lifetime. It's about craziness on with relationships. So if you're taking a look at that, I would definitely want to know your thoughts on that one as well. Feel free to drop those down in the comment section. And I will be actually covering some information in regards to that story. So make sure, again, you have your notification bell on, as well as that you have all is the attachments to it. If I can get the words out so that way you don't miss a video, because I'm not sure exactly when that's going to drop, but it'll probably drop sometime this week. So yeah, with that, there was a lot of stories here that we were covering. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm so glad you were here to spend a little bit of time with me. I hope that you were doing well. This is the beginning of a new week, so I wish the best for you for this week. Wish you to get all the things that you are looking forward to happening and all the goals that you're looking to achieve. I am again glad that you were here to spend some time with me. Make sure you're dropping your thoughts down in the comment sections. Let me know if you think that the villain list for Real Housewives is accurate. If you want to add, take away, whatever the case may be. If you just truly agree with it, let me know down below. I'd love to know. Any well wishes, obviously prayers and thoughts and such for the family members and how they move forward from Sarah's passing. One of the cast members, one of the key cast members from Real World Miami. Any storylines that she was involved that you thought was interesting or fun, if you want to throw those down below, or just simply your condolences, be sure to drop those down as well. And of course, you know, our good friends Kim and Kroy, let me know your thoughts on them as well. So with that, I think I'm going to bid you adieu. I do have another video coming down the pike here in a couple of hours or so. So make sure that you are subscribed. Thank you so much again. And until next time, bye.